Reynolds, this idea from National Grid that they've set aside a paltry £1 million if you back out of your energy usage today between 5 and 6. What's your view overall?
Well, good morning. Yes, it seems another appropriate day to be talking about this. It's freezing here in Parliament. But look, there is a lot more that can be done in terms of how people use energy, how they learn about efficiency, and the time of day that they use it at. I'm all for that, but I think we've got to be frank and say, when you compare energy bills today to just a few months or a few years ago, the kind of pressures people are under cannot be resolved by measures like this. What's needed alongside it is that commensurate support from government. So obviously under our plans we have a more expansive windfall tax than the Conservative Party has brought forward to pay for its plans. We just started it earlier. We wouldn't have those big gaps for fossil fuel investment. We would have more resources, so we wouldn't, for instance, see the reduction in the level of support this April that households would have, and we'd also provide more support to businesses. So look, yes, I'll try innovation, new ideas, absolutely, but let's be clear, households and businesses still need some support this April to a higher degree than the government have brought forward so far.
Well, as you say, I mean, the government have paid out billions of pounds in support already. And as you say, extending that windfall tax by, I think it's 3 months you're planning, isn't it, at the moment? Is that not a deterrent to the energy firms? I mean, we've already heard, haven't we, over the last few days, Shell saying that they're thinking again about a £25 billion worth of investment in the energy sector. Harbour Energy saying that the current windfall tax that the government has is making them make cuts. So if you take a further windfall tax, actually you could end up with people losing jobs, even though you're trying to help them with their bills.
No, absolutely happy to respond to that. So there are three differences with our windfall tax. First of all, we just started at the beginning of last year when we first called for it. Second of all, we would have a rate of taxation which is the same as it is in Norway on oil and gas. And thirdly, we wouldn't have those big loopholes, those big investment allowances for further fossil fuel investments which the government have. Now, look, I think when you're putting forward a windfall tax, you've always got to be clear what the basis for that is. And in this case, it is because there has been this unprecedented spike in prices that began to occur at the start of last year because of the illegal invasion of Ukraine. I think if you're clear about that and you're not just doing it because you need a bit of revenue and you see a potential source there, the argument that has been put forward, which the government ultimately did accept, that taking some of that excess profit that has come about through the illegal invasion of Ukraine, using that for the benefits of households and businesses overall, benefits the economy as a whole. I think that is a specific argument and it should not deter investment when that is brought forward. Last year, when even the government moved on this, the companies themselves did admit there were no investments that had been pulled as a result of it. So I think it's an absolutely fair question, a fair challenge to politicians putting it forward. But I think the way we have targeted this prevents any loss of investment and ultimately should incentivise more investment in the kinds of alternatives to fossil fuels which the country clearly needs.
You've a big task, Jonathan Reynolds. The Conservative Party would have this self-proclamation that they are the friends of business. The Conservative Party is the friends of business. How do you convince people that you would be?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So historically, what you've said, I think, is the perception a lot of people have had. But I'm afraid the Conservative Party, first of all, has lost that through their behaviour. I mean, there is no doubt that the last 15 years have been very poor historically for the economy and living standards in the UK. I think on top of that, they haven't really articulated a way to make Brexit work for the long-term future of the country. And finally, I think they haven't built on the opportunities of this big transition to low-carbon energy, which the whole of the world is now engaged upon. So for my part, I think we have more ambitious plans on all three of those things, but also we're there to tell people genuinely we believe that the kind of answers the country needs requires a partnership between business and politicians, and we believe we in the Labour Party are the best partner for that. And that message, that work over the last 18 months has generated quite a lot of success. I think you might have heard yourself on the programme, I think the chairman of Tesco, John Allen, saying that on this agenda only Labour is on the pitch. So look, there's a big job for us, you're right, a lot of people to win over following that very significant electoral defeat for us in the last general election. But we think we're doing it. We think the polls show that. There's no complacency. We're going to continue working very hard because we think this country could be doing a lot better than it is under the Conservative Party. And the chance to serve, the chance to do that is all that we're about.
So you want to be the friend of business. Are you the friend of women? We heard from your colleague, Pat McFadden, yesterday on the channel saying that the behaviour by your male colleagues towards a female MP, Labour MP, standing up for women's rights in the Commons was wrong. Should there be disciplinary action? And is it a party for women? Are they welcome there?
Well, absolutely, I believe it is. I mean, first of all, Labour has more female MPs than male MPs. The shadow cabinet that I'm a member of is absolutely packed with leading female figures, so I absolutely do believe we are the party of that. I think on this particular debate around what the Scottish Government have done around gender recognition, it's important to say that improving that process of how people make that transition, if that is what they, what they're about, what they need to do, is different from the issues of how you make sure you are protecting single-sex spaces under the Equality Act. And we're absolutely committed to the Equality Act and upholding it, and that is an important part of the safeguards and provision in this country. So I think I'm not aware of the specific incident. I was aware in the Commons there was some controversy around that debate, but I think the policy positions and the personnel we've got are absolutely in the right place on these issues.
OK, so that's a no to disciplinary action, just to be clear.
I'm not aware of the specific incident you're talking about in terms of asking for disciplinary action, but on the issues themselves, I can tell you I think Labour's position to look at reform of gender recognition processes, but also make clear we'd uphold the Equality Act, is absolutely the right position to have.
OK, we'll leave it there. Jonathan Reynolds, Shadow Business Secretary, good to have you on. Thanks very much indeed for your time and bearing the -3 degrees in Westminster as well for us. We appreciate it.